a bit different than your digitizer system in its thought process. It's kind of, on some level, similar to EQ7 in its vector drawing type of thing. But an interesting program. How many of you guys have the Eloid or Zing cutter, or a couple of other cutters that you could use with this as well?
I don't have one yet, but I'm planning to.
Okay.
Decided which one yet.
The Zing is bigger by just a couple of inches.
Mm-hmm.
Zing has maybe a little bigger learning curve because Silhouette comes with, a blade that you can adjust, right? It tells you like 1, 2, 3, or 4. The Zing is going to tell you, oh, take this many Post-it notes and measure them.
Mm-hmm.
Price-wise, there's probably $150 between them, maybe.
Yeah, that's about right.
And
yes, with the Zing Air now, I think that Zing has a new one out called Zing Air.
Yeah, that's actually one of the commercial ones. And I believe, I may be wrong, but we can go look. Zing K&K cut, right? Is from the side. We'll go. Here's your Zing cutter, Zing Air cutter. Okay, yeah, maybe they did. Let's see what that one does. K&K. Okay. Let's see if it's a wireless thing, maybe. 14 cutting width, 8-inch acceptable, not material width. What that means is, matte. I have a Zing cutter and I have a Cameo. You can, you don't want to put it at the edge, so you have a little bit of playroom with like cutting material. The problem is that if there's not a mat under it, half the time it gets kind of rolled up into things, right? See what the Air does. I don't know. Voice activation with Zing Speak. So you probably have to have their software, I would imagine. But kind of interesting.
Yes, you do.
And okay, so that one's like $449. Upgrades, pop-up studio, additional warranty. I'm going to see what it does. It's really compact. Yeah, comparing it, it's okay. They say that because they put this third row on it now, that you have to use a cutting mat. Use a cutting mat because there's a little plastic strip there that if it's not cutting on a mat, it's going to cut into that strip, and that strip's going to be a whole lot more to replace, right? Okay, what it does. Bluetooth and USB is what it is. So they're looking at like an Air printer. Connected through Bluetooth on your computer, you connect it through USB. And so that's not too bad. Zing cutter, but I like my Cameo too. And the accessories, you can see them here. They're not too awful. I didn't buy the extra blade holders because I thought $39, that's ridiculous. The embossing tool, I have yet to use it. And but it's a bad machine. It really isn't. Price on what you're going to use it for. You know how much you're going to use it. Yeah, it comes down to. Cameo has a similar learning curve. It really truly does because use that automatic setting on the blade itself. And, like a dealer event, and it drove us crazy putting the blades into the thing. You eventually, can get them in there, right? But it is kind of annoying. The set is already in there. But I like them both, so it just kind of comes down to how much money you will spend. This is down. Oh, so we're going to look at this program. This program does just have the whole suite of you.
Yes. I said the Artistic Suite version 6.
Right. The current version. And really,
Artistic Suite, but I'm not for sure what version it is.
yeah, it's probably 6. If you need help, you should be able to go.
Yeah, I did a upgrade one time over the internet. So it's probably
Yeah. You'll be able to see right here, version 6. Suppose they have a new one coming pretty soon. That's interesting. They have an iPad app coming too, which is interesting. If you guys know the Drawing Snap program,
yes.
and I guess Artistic has one coming, so that should be kind of interesting to see. I think it's pretty much going to be the same as the Drawing Snap program. But so when you open the program, the first thing it asks you is, you want to open an existing file, or do you want to create a new file? As a matter of fact, we'll see what that looks like. URL site today, looking for an update to something. I want to close those tabs. I've not gotten used to where anything is on this program. If you're bouncing back and forth on 8 between that little slider thing. So, all right, so this is the screen that you see. And, the color of your screen is going to be whatever you used on the last design, basically. So right here it says, okay, if it's existing or create new. And we're going to start from creating a new design. So, it's kind of a wizard. It walks you through some things. Go ahead and say next. It gives you the choice of your fabric, and this is going to control some of your settings. You can always override this, but I'm going to go ahead and go with the cotton, and we'll pick pink just for the fun of it, right? So besides the color and the fabric swatch behind here, it's also adjusting your stitch settings automatically. So next, and now it's saying, okay, I want to know where your artwork is. And are you going to get it from a scanner? You're going to pull it from your webcam. You're going to make a new monogram, or are you going to make your own graphic? I'm here to go ahead and pick which hoop you use, and we'll just go with the art hoop here. And so I have these options. I could do a monogram, or I could just make my own graphic. Most pull in our own graphic, or pull in the graphic that we purchased, or one that we have from somewhere. So I'm going to go ahead and click on these little dots to my folder. I have this nifty little folder because I pulled a bunch of different types of images in here. Okay. There are bitmap images, JPEG images, and there's WMF images, okay? And if you look down here, all supported says you can pull in Illustrator, Corel Graphics, AutoCAD, PostScript. You have SVGs, which are the scalable vector graphics. So if you have somebody using SVG files or Cutter files, you can pull them right into this program, right? You've got a bunch of different things, plotter file, maps, of course, JPEG, GIFs, maps. But these are going to all behave a little different, like bring in an Illustrator format, which most of us don't have access to, but do have us an AI file, it's going to behave a little different than if I bring in a bitmap, right? One of these WMF images. This preview not available. I am looking at large icons, but it's not. They finally gave me the preview. I can preview what these are. If that's what I want. But I have to click on the file to really preview these. Bits and JPEGs I can just automatically see. So we're ahead and we'll start with the little duck here. Or with this, I guess. Let me see what this is. Okay. We'll start with the duck. He's a vector, WMF image. He is a true WMF image. He's not just converted, I don't believe, from like a bitmap, but I'll know as soon as I bring it in the program. Just because it says WMF, that, if you have a bitmap, you can save it as a WMF, but it does not make it actually a WMF file, which is a vector format, right? This one I know is because of where I got this from, so I'm going to go ahead and open this into the program. And then I'm going to click on Next. To ask me if I want to smooth this. And it gives me a default percentage. And I found that this percentage is actually pretty good. So I generally leave it what it comes in at. Sometimes it's 10, sometimes it's 5, sometimes it's 7, right? It does a pretty good job here. So I'm going to go ahead and say, yeah, go ahead and smooth that a little bit. And then me my colors. So here's the white, which is the background, of course, the black, which is the outline and some highlights. And then these colors, which is, the beak, the wheel, and the duck body. So this is a pretty good representation of this image. It's a very simple image. So I'm going to go ahead and say, yeah, that looks good to me. Threads palette, it says RGB, which is, graphics form. I can down here and say, you know what, let's just go ahead and go with our, I'm a Robinson Anton person, right? And out, I think that I always hate when they give me those. Nope, wrong one. They just don't say Robinson Rayon, right? I think it's actually maybe that one.
I think.
Yeah, 22. I think that's the place, but it says Rappos Paul. Or yeah, might be. Yeah, our there SS7. I like rayon. Not that I use poly, but I like rayon because it's a softer hand to things than poly. And polyester's improved a great deal through the years, and it's nice and it can be shiny, but sometimes it can be too shiny compared to the and definitely rayon is definitely going to give you a softer hand. So okay, these are the colors that it says it's going to match. These are the colors in the image. These are the colors. If you spread out, you can see the colors it's going to pick from that Robinson Anton palette. Necessarily, but I could double click on that, and it would be Pro Gold, or I could pick a different color. If I like let's match that up to, I can scroll through that whole catalog, and really, I think it should be maize or may want it to be Citadel, right? And I can pick colors here. I can actually change this before it even gets into the program. So I'm going to go ahead and I've got these threads to these 6 colors. It's going to ignore the white, right? And I can just say, well, it should ignore the white. It doesn't mean that it's going to, but it should. I'm going to finish. And then my little duck design now. See this, all the little pieces, those little lines that go over top of it. Enlarge this. That has to do with the way these are made. Pieces. That's how the artist made that vector image. So it does some odd little things. It actually creates these pieces like this. But fix it. This is sequence viewer. See the sequence viewer. Yours is probably over here, right? Here's viewer. Right. All I've got is this, and I select everything, and boom, it's out the door. I could do this little auto sequence control and say advanced, rearrange and modify objects as needed. Then I'm a whole lot of things in this viewer, and don't let it overwhelm you. Right now, a bunch of stuff in the viewer. That's it, right? So now, a couple other things that'll make your life a little bit easier. The reason my sequence viewer was over here was these object properties, and we select something and see what it does. This is my stitch settings. And, I've got this little thumbtack here. See the tack? Click on that. This stays open. If it's going sideways, I just mouse over these tags. The the tool options. You know, I've got the thumbtack on all of these little orange tabs that you see on my screen. You know, on the palette as well. See, it's always open. But on that, and the palette would drop down as well. So it gives you a lot more work room on your screen. The sequence viewer. Right, I am in, you know, show everything basically, right? And I've got some odd little things in here. For the most part, this looks like a pretty decent design, but then you've got these odd little flaky things like, what the heck is that, right? You've got these little bits and pieces. If you look at it, you know some things that need to be corrected here, besides the fact that these are all pieces, right? It can kind of get overwhelming with all these pieces. You know, just this little design has, you know, 35 pieces, right? See the brush? If I click on that, it groups everything by color, which, you know, helps me look at this and say, oh, yeah, what a mess, right? I would want to show the design with the way this is sequenced. So it's a good thing to go ahead and put these, like this little button here makes icons or those little thumbnails larger or smaller. You're going to completely close that up. You could reopen it. That of course closes it completely. Question mark is help file. There, help file, right? So, right, I'm going to go ahead and leave these grouped together. And you have to decide, do you really want this outline? That outline's kind of a disaster because, you know, those pieces, right? So this outline really is pretty much toast. So I'm going to click on that and just delete it. I've got this other outline that's kind of bizarre too, so I'm going to delete that as well. What is, here's the bird's, you know, the duck's head, right? Here's the wing. And I'm going to treat this like I treat anything else. You know, in our webinars, you know, I told you, color. Color is a great way to keep things separated and organized. So I'm going to come over here to the wing and say, you know, I want to fill it with different colors. So when I click on these little icons, the line above, right here, click on that line. Watch the icons down here on the left-hand screen. If I click on this line, see a little pencil shows up on top here for red. One is created a red outline. See that outline? Well, that's what I wanted to do. So if you do that, which you will, because you'll have to get used to this, go ahead and select that. Go back to your palette, and over this block, this little like neutral block, turn on or off the fills. And you can see the bottom half is a fill, the half is the pencil. Can you see the icon changing? Oh,
yeah.
Okay, so if I want to turn off that outline, I click up here to turn off the outline, and if I fill it with red, I come down to the bottom and see the little bucket? Fill that wing with red. And that wing is going to be the last thing that I stitch in this line, right? So I'm going to select that. I'm going to do the same thing with the head. You know, you can see the petals on here. That means that there is no outline. So I just click and fill it with red. So now I've got these two red pieces, and left click on, you know, sequence view here. Hold Control key and let the other in this view, and drag these all the way up to the top. So now the red pieces are together, and where the heck they are, right? If you notice when I select something, I zoom in on it. If I use the scroll wheel on mouse, I can zoom in or out very, very quickly, much like the new version of Digitizer EX, right? You know, we're, you know, kind of zoomed out, and I've got those two pieces separated out for right now because I know that then I'm going to want to stitch those. Okay, with the body. These two pieces right here, probably be merged together, right? This and this piece merged together too, right? But I've got this little funny space in there, right? So and see what's going on. Okay, here at this space, right here, got this, and okay, that means that there's something else kind of here, right? And this little thing hide in there because your image, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select that. I'm going to hold the control key, left on this part of the body, and click on this part of the body. And use a quick little tool at the top of your toolbar. Okay, weld, intersect, intersect, I'm going to weld them together. And I could probably take this little piece up here too, so I'm going to hold the control key and add him to the mix, right? I weld those babies together. Now, here, I have a hole. And here, the outline looks very odd. I also have a hole. And I don't have holes there. Okay, but this is now one big giant piece. See? Funky piece down here. We're going to deal with that in a minute. So, my piece, and I'm going to change the color just so, we can see what's going on, but I'll make him blue. Okay, so my blue body. See, I've got these little funny pieces, and, we're cleaning that up, but I definitely want rid of those pieces. So, I'm going over here to edit shape nodes, right? I'm going to see these little nodes. First off, I can I can pull those around and reshape things, right? But I also press and hold my left mouse button and drag over a series of them and just press delete, and they're gone. The whole field, they're gone. And down here, I'm going to kind of, this is a mess, and I really don't want that mess there. So I'm just going to kind of left click and drag over these and delete them. And, funky things going on down here too. So let's kind of zoom in real big here. So you've got like double nodes and stuff. Well, you have to kind of be careful because sometimes when you delete things, the outlines go a little funny, but we're going to go ahead and delete that. And I click on this. And what I've got is when you see these, these little here, see how things are flipping all over the place?
Yeah.
Curve, and there's a way to control these a little bit better. First, I'm going to pull the arrow back under control. When I pull this arrow, see this arrow right here? When I pull that arrow back into the square here, actually clean up that little overhang. So I can do the same here, except that because that's a round node, then it would cause some difference to happen. So I'm going to leave the round one alone for right now. So what I got is a much cleaned up area. Or this odd little thing down here, right? I'm going to left click and drag these into place. And, this is a Bezier tool. Remember we talked about Bezier curves? Okay, these are Bezier curve tools. So I can, actually get rid of that one right now. And I'll pull the arrow back and curve that up. See my arrow? Bring it back in. I can actually delete that node if I want as well. Those in under control. And a little bit, so we'll pull that down. So, and the reason these are behaving the way they do is I'm not playing with embroidery. I'll be playing with an image right now. If you've ever worked in Illustrator, Corel, very similar tools to what you find in that program. So now I can do the same thing as what I can do in Stitch. I can kind of come over here on the line and pull the place. The difference is it doesn't automatically create a point for me. control the line. And what it's doing is, if you watch this, it's actually moving those arrows for me. See? So we've got some funny thing going on up here too, which don't need. So we kind of pull that down, or we can select it and delete it, and use these arrows to arc this into place. And I'll probably fill that in a little bit more. We've got up, not looking too awful bad, right? Maybe we need to change the fill direction, but we at least have got filled up. If you noticed, when I went into edit mode, my sequence view disappeared. So when I go back to select mode, and there it is. There's my sequence view. So here's this blue body. We've set these yellow pieces. We're going to select them. You can see they don't quite line up just right, but we're going to hold the control key and select them. You might want to leave alone. This one I probably could leave alone too and just let them, fork little duck wings, right? But these two are just completely illogical. So I'm going to select them by holding the control key, and I'm going to weld them together. And find a little thing right here. Then I'm just going to left click on it. Go to and click on this. And don't panic when something like that happens. Remember, the curve is controlled by arrow here. So I pull that arrow where I need it to go, and kind of pull this down. No, I just pull on the line and place. So what I've completely cleaned up area now. I can spend all of my time selecting these pieces and cleaning up this little mess in here, or can select this key and this blue, and I come up here and I could use the trim shapes. And when you do this, you'll know if you selected it correctly, if the outlined area is going to be this. So what I do is I selected wrong. I have to select the area that I'm going to use to trim first, and then select the area I want to trim, holding the control key. And what's the difference? When I go to trim, see now how this yellow will trim, not blue. So I'm going to click that and see how I'll trim that shape now. I can do the same thing with this. I can click on the head that I want to use to trim it, hold the control key and click on the piece I want to trim, and then say, trim that off, right? So now what I've got is this minor piece. Got a little straggly thing down there, but I can, not a problem, zoom in, use it, and don't, these aren't in the red. These are just little stragglers, diamond shape or triangle shape. Across there, delete it, and just cleaned up this piece so that I don't have a whole lot of overlap there. Okay. So what I've got is, these three pieces, the wheel, we're going to change the color wheel. We're going to fix that up a little bit. But an image. And I've got this funny little hole in here. See the hole here? But if this away, let me get at it, sorry. If I drag this away, now I guess it left there. Okay. I could fill in that hole. To me, that hole would not be a good deal. Be better off to put the black over top of this hole, right? And get rid of this little piece. It doesn't enhance the design on any level. But, red, and I've got these holes in here. You see, I guess I trimmed them because there's a setting in here that I could use to not move and overlap, but I don't think it's making any difference. I think that's just going to be the way it is. All right, so if I want to fill this hole in for something I've automatically generated, I select it, go to it, here and just scoop around these, delete them, found these, delete them, and that is now filled in. And, I would move them to a different stitching location, like maybe there, right? With this, sometimes when you bring in something that's automatically made, you're better off if you come here and you say, really, I just don't like the way it made that hole. Let's get rid of these nodes in here and get rid of the hole, basically. Too long. Okay? But trying to wing. What's down below a red wing, that's right. When I put down below here so that this red wing is showing, you can holes being created, right? The reason it's doing that is, even though I filled this all in so no hole would be created, is because of a settings in the stitch settings that's called remove overlaps. We're on though. So this is big enough that it says, oh, heck yeah, I'm going to have to remove that because that's just too much, right? But put never. See how it's in?
Yeah.
I want to do it for this, but I would say go ahead and auto it, right? Big area. Yeah. So we've got some other things to kind of fix up on this. First off, his head doesn't look round. And, we've got some gapping here. Like, you can look at that and know it's going to gap, right? Very beaky looking. Could use a little help as well. So, we're going to clean this up a little bit more. Okay. Got his tail. Kind of color grouped, remember? But control these individual pieces. Then I go ahead and just click on this paintbrush. Just use that, and there is a piece, and because I said always remove that, it just isn't even there, although it's there in the image. So I'm just going to delete it. When you have something that shows up like this, in this case, we don't need the dot, right? But the travel stitches you've put, well, then you want to look at the piece that's above it and that to never. But in this case, you don't need this, so we're just going to delete it. Just select it and press the delete key and it's gone, right? And we're going to look at these pieces. So piece number 1 on here, and that's logical that it should probably stitch first. I'm not going to leave the yellow. We're going to change that just for the simple fact that that makes it a little more interesting. But, here's the yellow piece. It should stitch down there, but it's just really kind of a boring type of look. Right? And maybe I want this fill direction to go a different way. Over here are all of your tools. This is an tool. This satin, it helps divide things, but this direction tool is for everything. So I'm going to direction tool, and I really want it to go that way. If I just come over here and drag it and get it all, I just click on this X in the middle and it deletes it. But these to run together with a little bit of a difference. So I'm in this direction tool now. And I can just click on the next one and say, let's make this one go this way. So there's a little bit of a difference. Let's click on this, and we want this to go this way. Or this way. I think looks best to get a fill that you want. And we kind of want these colliding with the body somewhat, right? So this direction's good. That direction's, not too bad. We could kind of go like this as well. You just stand out and are interesting. Let's go like that. Okay, so we've got those kind of stand out. They're a little more interesting now, right? And if we look at stitch sequence viewer, 1, piece 2, piece 3.
What does an O's mean on the Opposite.
Okay, this is the sequence order. If I click on this, it deletes it.
Oh, okay.
Kind of, I could click on it, it would select two. But
Okay.
so it's kind of, I don't know why they have the O. They get on maybe, you know. But I click on this, it deletes it. So, right, not just from the sequence view, from the actual design. Got those three pieces together and complex fills. So let's just click on yourself. Go back to your little pink by order. Click on those three items and let's check our stitch settings. Just because the program picks settings does not mean they are the settings that you want, right? So click this on tab now because all the yellow pieces that we put together there, over to your object property tab. It says the step fill. Here, the it says none, so it's just basically telling you that it's, basic pattern, right? None for the running stitch, I guess, is kind of the way to look at it. Like if I click on that, this is going to start giving me fill patterns. Okay? It doesn't mean that they're good fill patterns. It gives me fill patterns, like motifs, right? So I'm going to say none now. But they're not going to be like stamp patterns. They are motif running type patterns, okay? So I'm going to say, so the actual kind of stampy motif ones, see? Neat is, I have these going in different directions and I still get pattern. You can see green, that's pretty accurate, right? So, this is kind of fun. It's kind of nice that you still get the pattern, no direction you're going in. And, you can go through these. You know that if you use these, they take longer to stitch, but some of them are kind of interesting, right? So, they're not too bad at stitching out, too. The ones I've played with, but they do take a little bit longer. Let's see if this one does. That's kind of interesting. It looks almost textile-y. You have to play with these and see which ones you like. And, they've got some, like, these are kind of bigger ones. They're layers, but you can't really tell when you apply them to a fill. And these are patterns. These I want to control a little bit, but I think we'll go with just for the heck of it, right? Okay, now, to make sure that my settings are what I want them to be. And I'm sorry, the density of 0.5 is not going to be enough. I want to go to like maybe 0.44 or 0.45 and have a reasonable fill. Okay. I don't like, I guess, is settings on this, but go to 0.55 or 0.45. I could change the stitch length, and really, I want this to be 6.7. You can see that's a little bit small now. I absolutely we should turn on my compensation, and what I found is that really bumping it up to 4.5 is good, and I want to tell it what underlay I want it to have. And when I click on the underlay tab, I can get to the different settings. When packing, that's going to be your complex fill underlay, where it's going in a perpendicular type of stitch underneath. Right? Pattern plus means that you got in an outline, stitch around it, and then the packing, right? So you have to decide which you need. This is a pretty good area with these three pieces. I'm going to go ahead and say packing plus. Auto, just ignore that. Remove overlaps. We kind of know what that's about. We've cleaned this on our own, so we're good, right? So what is, I change the stitch settings on this. Next time, I can always go back and, put the pattern in, but, I think it might look better like this. And you can patterns around to get a different effect, right? right? To get a different look or a different texture, just like kind of rotating those around a little bit. It's kind of the body of or the tails of our duck right now, right? And those are going to stitch first. The next thing is this. And select, you have the red, this ahead, right? But we're going to move, actually already there. So, okay, these in the next stitching position, and I want to quickly turn it into the yellow to match. So, all I do is come down to select this, come down to my palette, and right-click on the fill. On the fill, and it automatically turns it yellow. And so I don't have to hunt through here to find the right yellow. It's got the yellow that it's in the rest of the design, right? Now, to get fancy and make that a little bit darker yellow, I could scroll through these color chips. I think it's already daffodil, but we'll go ahead and select that and see how I guess it wasn't daffodil. See how it makes it a little bit darker, and again, a new color chip, right? Color change. So, on how many colors you want to put in design would change that color. I'm going to go ahead and turn it back to the yellow that's already in the body. Okay, the yellow. And the same thing, I'm going to go over here to object properties, and it's a satin stitch. What kind of pattern do you want in it? It's interesting. Some look like a puzzle. Yeah, let's go with this one. And yeah, by the way, I don't like the density. The stitch length's fine. We want compensation on, and we want the underlay to be packing plus, but the density I'm going to change to 0.45, and station I'm going to change it to 0.4. And I don't like the direction either, so I'm just going to click on that and come over here and say that. Hold on. The duck. How's that? Oh, I think it's going to lock on me. But anyway, so you kind of get the gist on these fills now, right? And what's the record? Okay, so let's look at this a different way. So I'm going to say, okay, new. And we'll go back and we'll pick out the little ducky again. Okay. And we're going to bring that in, and we're going to say next. Backdrop. When I use a backdrop, it's a picture background. This picture very easily. I just go up to View and back up, and I can put it below the embroidery. I can fade it. I can put it above the embroidery, which actually comes in handy. Or I can say Properties, and this is how I scale. This is rotate. It's simple control, right? And you can see exactly what it's doing. And I want to go here. There we go. Okay, so, I've scaled out a little bit bigger. And then I just close it. So here's my image, right? When working in this program, I am drawing with that's really what I'm doing. It looks like I'm making embroidery design, but I'm creating a graphic. These can create outlines. They don't create outline in quite the same way as this does. This image, and I'll show you what happens, you create something. So if I want to, really punch this, I have several tools. They're hidden over here where it says create, my outline shape, and if I click on that little arrow, I get little flyouts. Okay, this is not a magic wand that's going to let me pick a color. This is probably the easiest tool to work with. This is just freehand. and it is create space of your shape. So I'll show you what this says. This freehand, right? I would have a very steady hand. Okay?
Yeah.
And know that I'm, left-handed using the right-handed, so that's not even an option, right? I'll write my name once. Okay, so the option is this. What this is, as I'm clicking on this, right, it's automatically making, straight segments unless I click and drag, and then I can, drag around the curve, right? You have that?
Huh?
And just going to continue to drag around that curve. Okay, that's how that works. Now, right, I'm just making a line, and I close this line. Okay, really just line, an offsetting circle, right? My tool is still active. I right-click it in, and I still have my tool active, right? If I click any other tool, it would automatically create the stitches and turn my tool off, right? That's my new piece. Now, if you look here, here's my outline. It automatically creates the outline. Here's my fill. If I want to turn the outline, I just click here, turn it off. If I want to turn fill, I click here, it turns it off. Or I want to change color, I just click on something else up here. Okay, so I'm going to delete that one. That tool takes a little bit of getting used to. But it really is, if I click, it's a click, right? If I space, I can get rid of it. If I click and hold and drag, I am already creating a curve. It's generally going to be straight. But this is how you control your curves. And then, of course, there's your left clicks, right? So let me get rid of that. Okay. The digitizing tool, which you will probably use the most, is going to be this one. This one is a little different, too. What this does is, if I left click, and I'm curves. That's, making a circle pretty easy. Automatically in curves, so it's just going to curve around the circle. Now, that's great, unless I make a square, right? So so when I have to do a point, like up here, right, you'd be clicking along with my little Bezier curve tool. It's all fine and dandy. I'm just, clicking on following this outline. It's like, oh, egads, I have to deal with this curve, right? All right, so I come up here and I press and hold. It is placed, and you get a point. So you can hold, and you can come back down, and it tends to automatically join as soon as you type. Like, I don't have to click right on top of there. I'm better off just waiting until I get there and that line form and say. So when it's automatically curved, everything's all curvy happy. And when I point, I press and hold, and all with your left mouse click. And point there, press and hold to close it. A point, and those points are made. To me, that probably is the easiest tool to use. And use it where I'm making shapes or I'm making lines.
Okay, do a square.
I want to square with this. The other tool is to do a perfect square. But I want to do, how about this? I'll do a rectangle. And I'm just pressing holding. Okay. Rectangle. But if I'm going to do something that's all straight points, I might as well just go here and say bing, 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 right?
Okay. I gotcha.
Okay. So most of the time, you've got a combination of stuff. And I find that, I have the tool easier to use. Drag, move, takes a little more practice, and and it's not as controllable, that left click to make that very defined point. Okay, so the main input tools. So I'm going to get rid of these. And right now we're drawing everything pretty much very big. And if I do need to, like I'm a little bit off here, no big deal. I just select it, come over here, and, drag the node. I can drag, the line in between. And the
nodes.
I can right click, to the edge here and say, add a node, delete node, make it custom node. Okay. Split the outline. Okay, now split the outline. As there's the outline, it just separates the outline away from it. And do. Okay, custom node. When I'm like this, see little round nodes? I clicked round and round, right? If I right click and say, add a node and turn this into a cusp node, see how it goes straight? And it's kind of like a starter point is kind of the best way to describe it. But, these arrows, see how I'm dragging the arrows back in? When I'm back to the center, I can straighten out this between that line because it's a cusp node. Okay. With this, it's a node, so no matter what I do, I still have a slight curve, right? Even if I pull both these arrows in, you still have a curve to that line because it's a curved node. That's what it's intended to do. And by the way, right? So, everything that we've done has been pretty good size. But, what about something like this? Like, I could bank on that yellow circle making a hole for me. But what if I wanted to control this a little bit more and make a satin stitch automatically without, having to worry about that? Well, I could do that, but I do the same amount of work as if I'm drawing this anyway. So, in this case, there are some quicker ways to do things. I can come over here and I can say, I'm going to make a circle, and it's going to be this big. And, if I hold the shift key, then I get a perfect circle. Well, not quite perfect, but if I hold the control key, this grid, and I can get a more perfect circle, right? So there's my circle number one. Boom. I put it right there. If I need to resize it, no problem. Just drag there a little bit. And, we're going to make that wheel gray. Okay, so it's gray, and I don't want any outline. So, okay, that's great. There's my wheel, right? But now we see what's underneath here. I could make, some changes. I could, delete. I could kind of try to figure it out. Or I could just go up to View, Backdrop, put it above the embroidery. What happens is I can still get to all of the pieces of my design, but now I can actually see what I need to do. So I can say, okay, I'm just copy the circle, Control C, Control V, me sequence view into advanced so we can see, the different pieces, right? And I want that outline or that outline. But here's my wheel. Select. Copy. Paste. Here's the wheel. Let's make it pink. And it's going to become little. So I'm going to hold the shift key and scale it down. And you can kind of move over and center it. So there's, see the hole automatically created now, so I didn't have to worry about that, right? So, select this, copy, paste, and make this one, we'll just make it green for lack of any better color right now. And I can scale that down, and I can move this around, and I have exactly what I wanted. And I'm going to go back up to View now, Backdrop, below embroidery. I've achieved what I wanted. This one, maybe I want to make that satin too. I just come in here and say satin, and I put a pattern in it, right? So I've achieved what I wanted without, to, punch this and then punch the hole here anyway. Okay? I'll show you the other way to do that. Okay, the long way around this, right?
Mhm.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and create a circle and control key so I can get a better circle. And it automatically, oops, let me undo that. It automatically would create the circle fillet, right? So if I wanted to punch this so that there was a hole in it, I use these tools. And say, boom, boom. I guess I'd add a couple more because it's a perfect, like the digitizer program. Okay, boom, 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 and just circle right. And there you go. And then I would go like this. Hole right. Then I would go like this. I'm still vector form. Actually, I probably would want to do, just one circle. And so the second one, I've got this, but you have to punch that one again. So here we go. We're going to have to go back into the punching tools and, boom, boom. I'm going to punch these two circles again, basically, is what I'm doing. Punch the center one and just punched it at this point. But I'm actually doing the same, I'm actually doing more work than just circles. Okay. So I have exactly what I want. I didn't punch it very neatly, but the other one was just boom, there you go, right? Series of one circle and just layering those circles. So, it's a little bit different on how you're going to put this. Like if in Digitizer program, I would make a circle, make a hole, make another circle, make a hole. Do it similar to what I did here, right? We're dealing with artwork, right? When you come to it, that's going to convert over into stitches. I can just take one layer it, use that overlap option. So, you got on this so far?
So far, no, not for me.
Barbara, good?
I'm with me.
Okay. Shirley, you there? Do we really?
Must have early.
No, she's there. Shirley, you still there? Shirley?
Yes.
You questions or anything?
No, not really. It was a little bit over my head tonight.
For some reason it's what?
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to send you the image. I'm going to send you the two duck images, right?
Yes.
And then you can play with them. Just play the settings and just get used to it. Now, if you cut her and wanted to make this lovely duck applique, well, this area not can do to a cutter file. Like if I export it to my cutter, right? The file, and I say export to crystals and cutters, and since my cutter's not plugged in, it won't even let me do it. Well, I think it's because I don't think to export. It doesn't see this as it's just a big blob, right? But I say, there you go, there's an outline. File, export, crystals and cutters, it's the outline. Blue fill. Everything is a cutter outline. Okay, if I were doing like a duck body, right? And the head, the body, and the wing. Okay, I might want to cut the wing separately, so therefore that wing would be a different outline color. And cut, and I might want to cut the head separately, just layer effect, right? Would be, me do it that way. Okay, here's duck, right? Boom, boom, and let's outline this in magenta. Okay, there's my 3 magenta lines, right? See? Okay, so to export it to my cutter, Okay, it's seeing it's got 3 cuts, but they're on top of each other. And it would not be a good deal. I might actually want this piece to have this hole in it. I might want that wing to, you know, out or something, right? So,
Be on top of it.
well, I would say, okay, you know, Mr. Wing, let's make you a cutting line. And you, we're going to make, you know, a cutting line. And, oh, yeah, by the way, you know, that's kind of in his body right here. You don't really want that. So I'm going to select not this part, but this wing. And I know, don't remove the overlap. Never. So that fills in. There we go. So now I've got a pink cutting line, a green cutting line, and a black cutting line. So I export to my cutter. You've got is here red that's going to cut. Then it's go, hey, you got to change. And that gives you the opportunity to put your piece on. Here's that's going to cut. And here's the wing that's going to cut.
Okay. That's cool. And you do that with say you bought a design and you could, as long as it's outlined,
you have to bring it into, like you can't bring it into this. You're going to bring it into, we'll have to cover that because it goes into a different editing program. We can do some things where you can make it cut, like with the cut needles. You know those needles that came in your pack?
Yeah.
And I believe you can still export it out to, you know, file from there as well.
Okay.
And so now, if you want to bling your duck up, you can see the little sequence there. Come over here and I could say, oh, let's be little duck, right? And I could, you know, that's like really not the color I want or anything, and it shows up in my sequence view. So I click on it and go over to those. Let me close over to the object properties and say, you really want these to be bigger. You know, 16, and I want them to be hyacinth. So I can. These are just little, right? Okay, so it's individual little stones. So what happens is if I happen to overlap accidentally, overlap, export this. I'm going to, you know, probably ignore some of those. Yeah, it's not going to let you cut it. It's just not. I need to kind of take this and say, oh, you know, oops, you're supposed to be there. So now I export it. There we go. Okay, you know, heading for, right? If I say, oh, they're just outlines, you know, there's the outlines that I have as well. So I can cut the crystals. I cut the outlines as well still, right? And kind of a multiple option here. Now, if I want to blink the duck out line, I can select a line. I can make a line, right? And here's my duck body, right? Or, you know, yeah, we'll use the wing. Here's the duck wing right here, and we have it outlined in green. But if I say, you know, really, let's go to object properties, and this is the outline, and I want let's make this crystal. I'll become choppy because we auto did this one. My crystal like went psycho, right? And that's because it's choppy because we lit the trace. So the other image now. Okay, so this one's clean because we did an auto trace. So I can go here and I can say, you know what? I want to make that a crystal, and we want to be Capri blue, and yeah, we want it to be 10, and I really want them that close together so we can space these out, and so you have to space them, you know, one. And so there is my duck all blinked, and I can say, you know what, export this up to my cutter. And there's my crystals. I have no outlines because that line is a crystal line, right? So I have different ways to add sequins. I can just randomly add them. I could come here and say, besides the fact that I don't want that running line at all, but I really want to fill this with crystals. And, I have this big crystal fill area. And let me see, can offset this. Okay, see, so I can set this to the change, right? And I can space them horizontally. I can space them vertically. Angle a little different.
Where are you doing that?
Watch them move here, okay? Here's my horizontal spacing. I'm going to make this ridiculously big. Space. Okay, so let me take that back down to like 1. Okay. Equal spacing. See? I have this little separate to crystals button. And that it took all of these to individual crystals. They're all grouped together. Like when I click on them, I don't think they're individual, right? But I click and say ungroup. You've got those little funky, straight, crystals that just aren't where you want them to be, like over his eyeball, right? And click it, and then individually delete these, right? I'll keep one and say, really, I want it to be white. To have a little eyeball. Let's get rid of this one. But this one, hold your control key. This one. And now, let's use those to pink. And I can select these crystals, biting or individually and turn them to, a pink color, right? And so you can do something very quickly, and then you can clean it up. Is by just doing that, separate crystals. Essentially. Okay. So here's an embroidery filled area. And I got rid of all my crystals. Okay. And, you got other shapes in there, too. As a matter of fact, you go over here and click on this. Like a star shape, a polygon shape. You've got all kinds of neat little shapes. So we'll start with the star. And there's a star. Hold the control key, my grid comes, and I get a little more, of a kind of a balance to things, right? Okay. I didn't want to create that, so let me get rid of that. Okay, to select, you can go to take the star, you go to your tool options, right? Raise. Okay. Okay, start angle, 90, that angle, it rotates the star. Okay. If you look at your ray size to 60% and you increase that, that's the rays. I can take this down and make it smaller too. And
angle. Yeah. Okay. So, you can play with these shapes and these settings. Okay, now, see this little piece right here? That's my outline. I'm just going to select and delete it. Here's my star. Now, I do a bunch of things with this. I can come over here. And I say, you know what? No outline. Over here and Let's say, you know what, let's fill this baby. And boom, will fill. But I've got some stragglers and I got like a little naked spot here and that kind of thing, right?
Mhm.
That's what that converts, you know, down here and I say separate to crystals. That would allow
Mhm.
me to move these around a little bit and delete stragglers, you know, and things like that. So I'm going to go right now back to the step fill. And you
Okay.
can see here, you know, I've got the same tools. Like my editing tools are exactly the same. They don't do anything different just because it's the shape. So, but I've this
Okay.
other neat little tool. When I have this selected and go over to Object Properties, I have this array. Click Array. Think I've got these little shapes here, right?
Mhm.
And funny. Some of them are, you know, pretty basic. But we'll go with this one. So I'm going to that one. I guess it won't let it work. We'll do anchor. Press enter, and it's, I do it because of the shape, but it should fill this with anchors, but the anchors are pretty big and this is pretty small. And we'll break, you know, the time. It's just it's not going to work this size. But, you know, here are my basic fill types. This is a step, which is your complex fill, right? Satin, you know what satin is. You know, you can put, you know, the motif fill, no matter what you may have selected. To turn off, you click on the X to say none. Fill, it's kind of a contour fill. See what I'm doing? And figure that out because it's an odd shape. Okay. You can say what's your offset, you know, default E-stitch. You know, you control some of these settings. I don't particularly like this. Okay. If I manually punch it, because, you know, that's what you're going to get is that E-stitch. And you can be offset, right? Moves it away.
Mhm.
Okay. Big fan of this. So you've got net fill, which is going to let you create a net fill. You can control self size. And I make this pink just so you can see it. I guess it doesn't make much difference. But see, I've got very small. You would not want to stitch that. That's just too small. To give you an idea of what you can do, right? And you've got, you know, the crystal fill and the array. And you realize your crystals are before you just commit to something, because if it's going to cut your template material. And, you know, your little brush to swoosh those into place, right? Regular step fill. Either your patterns. You can through and just click on them. You get a pretty good idea of what they're going to look like, right? Rotating the direction might change some things. These are your settings. Here's your density setting. The standard density should match your thread, but a lot of layers, you might want to go to 0.42 or 0.45, density setting. Which one I usually leave alone, especially for a pattern like this, because that's the pattern. If I wanted to make a smaller pattern, they click on the length, they make it a little bit smaller, right? Definitely want compensation, and I found that between 4 and 6, 0.4 and 0.6 is the good setting for this, and you want underlay. And backing is probably sufficient. Okay. If you see what's going to go on with your design, it's got a little stitch player. You go over this, your speed, you can slow it way down, you can up, and you just say start. It's your underlay, which is that's the packing underlay, and then how it's going to stitch the design, and it's pretty accurate. You see, it's adding the compensation. See that little extra on the edges? It shows the compensation in this view. It doesn't necessarily show it in regular view, but it does show it in this view. And I'll just take you through the whole line. So, but it is a really accurate stitch player, which is nice because you catch a jump that you otherwise may not see, design.
Really that realistic looking.
Very good job of showing you exactly how this design is going to stitch. You're in the other side, right? And the stop, you just stop or click on that little thing, close it. Over, I might not see a jump. I might not notice it. This is one color. Of course, it makes no difference, but I might not notice that jump because, if I go and I do something like this, let me shrink this baby down. And we'll just for the heck of it, right? And and this is good. Okay. So, see, I'm not getting anything over here. So, I might want to look at this little white star and say, oh, really, we could remove those overlaps. Auto, let's remove them. See how it chops up the stars? Okay. In theory, I have run my stitch between these two. Maybe I didn't. Or I would have assumed that I'm not seeing anything on the screen. It might just be A-okay, right? And so we aren't here waiting for the stitch. I'm going to go ahead and select these and smaller. Okay, so, I would kind of assume that I'm going to be okay, that there's not going to be these odd little jumps, even though I kind of, chopped up. That'll chop this one up, though. So, and wipe up, because you should be on auto, too. So, if I didn't notice that in here, I would certainly notice that in the stitch layer, right? That'd be a delay. And I still probably wouldn't really think anything of it until I saw that, oh, yeah, there is going to be an overlap, and that other one has been removed. Why is that one not removed, Stitch through it, I would definitely see, but I'm also going to see, as I stitch through this, the jump that's involved between the two. And then I can make a decision, do I really need to take care of that? Because that jumps right there. And you can see that on the screen, right? Granted, it's underneath here, but, you don't see it on here either. So, and if I want to get rid of all of these, I would just say, you know what, always.
Okay.
And that's something that I wouldn't have caught, maybe, if I didn't use that sequence viewer. Ladies, I've kind of given you the rush through of basics of the program, right?
Right.
Well, we'll go through, we'll target stuff. We'll start targeting things in sessions. So, but this, I want you to play with the tools. I don't want you to be afraid of them. To go through and, put the shapes. I mean, you've got some really nifty shapes besides this little star, this little pop shape, right? You can, Ms. Pac-Man. Remember Ms. Pac-Man? And you could say, well, start angle's 90. I can make Pac-Man have a bigger mouth.
That's
changing these
Mr.
angles.
Pac-Man with a bigger mouth.
You're right. It would be Mr. Pac-Man. That's true. Touche. But, play with these shapes because each one of these, other than the circle, the circle's a circle, right? There are real tool options on the circle. There are no real tool options on your square either, right? Your roundness, okay? So here's your square. What roundness do you want it? And what it's talking about is this is, real graphic feature. How round do I want this? Well, be like 24 round, see? Yeah, really, it's really a graphic function. And some neat little things. So play with these And you just want a trapezoid, right? Here, there's my trapezoid. What are my tool options on the trapezoid? I can control the slant. I click trapezoid and it becomes, a slanted line. Actually, see? Little tools are control these a little bit differently as well on the shape. This shape is I go into edit, I control the roundness on some of, on the square. On the trapezoid, I can control, how it behaves, and this moves it around. But Ms. Pac or Mr. Pac-Man with the big mouth, I have some control. So play with these shapes, and at least like even on this polygon, right? Let me go over here and make the polygon. I wanted to, like in our hexagon class, right? I wanted to cut a bunch of hexagons. Well, you can come here and say, really, number 6, yeah, that's good. Third angle's 90. My height and my width, let's not make this proportional. I think we did, what was it, 2 height because of the points and 0.66, right? 9, I think. Okay, so there's my, really messy screen here, but let's get rid of these. And cut out all of these shapes, for, I'm going to make sure, hold on, view, backdrop, properties, remove it. Yeah, I want to remove the duck. Okay, there's those, hexagon shape, and let's make sure we're in select, Control E, Control V, there's another hexagon shape. Copy and paste these around, right? I get rid of this, and I can select this. And I can array this, I believe. I might have to do it someplace else. Yeah, I have to do this someplace else. Close. And tools. There's a way to, array, I believe. And there we go, array. Nope, I don't want that. Okay. So right now we'll just convert it to an outline. There's my outline. I don't really need the fill. I can delete the fill. And I could copy and paste across this. I'll look at the duplicate option. I'll look and see. And there we go. Export to my crystals and cutters. And ta-da, I could be cutting my fabric.
Passes, so you can make it how many passes, or is that just how many times it has to go over to cut it?
So it goes over to cut it.
Okay.
Depending on the blade, you should always use a fabric blade for fabric, right?
Right.
But the backing on it, there's this nifty spray. And I'll look up the name of the spray because I have some. It takes some time. You have to soak the fabric, then you have to let the fabric dry. But it's stiff as a board. Honestly, you don't need any backing to cut it. You cut one layer at a time. I lend this out to your embroidery machine, in which case I believe you could cut this. It'll change the line colors, but with your cuttles, you could actually cut a bunch of them, but choppy, because the cutting blade is actually going. Right. So, you're better off cutting on a big sheet and just cut 12 of them, What I found, if I back the fabric, it's 1 1/2 passes. If I fabric, it's 1 pass. And to assigning the cutting. Control's going to come into play, and the sequence is going to come into play a great deal because, I want to, have my cutter do something like this. Just begging for trouble. I want to, cut Um, and go in a logical sequence. And what would happen is, it's going to be first, it's going to go here and here. The Navy, so it's going to go and travel all the way down here. Well, I'm begging for trouble. I'm begging for that cutter jam, right? When I have the option, I could say, you know what, A, the same shape, but you can use your scroll rules. Scroll in closely. Use select tools, hold your control key, select these. Use line tools, line them, and, you've got the arrows on your keyboard. I only need one cut, right? Overlap these, and just one cut. As a matter of fact, if I go like this and shift key and merge these together, green line in the middle. Yeah, it may way, but okay, not a big deal. Just come over here and say, select right. Oops, did that. Hold on, I'm in the wrong tool. Left and control key is the perfect left click. And because I want a straight line, I'm going to hold that key, longer, and boom. Oops. It'll go. And if I'm a little bit off, like I am up there, not a big deal. The minute I come over here to edit and zoom in,
It's straight out.
yeah, complete control. So there's my lines. Go to select, merge those together too. Not one cut between them, and when this out, I would, basically kind of keep doing that. You could put 3 across here and however many down. Something you would want some space on, right? Although do something like this.
Fill them in.
Although I ain't cut, you might want to go ahead and just leave some space here, or leave limited space, right? You're gonna have some fabric lost. You want to put those points together. You want a space. So magic, probably take it even more logical. If you have the opportunity, depending on what you're doing. Here and you select something, you can come here and you can mirror it. Not make much of a difference, but it does here. There we go.
Yeah.
In that. So, so it comes down here, just, there's a quick little jump from ends to there, right? And check that, because that's how it's going to cut in cases. Not always, but in most cases. And if you're doing something detailed, right? You're going to cut out these centers or something. To control that, you're going to have these little things to cut first, right? Because if you cut first, you probably have lesser trouble there, right?
Right.
And it's going to cut. Whoops. I control it somewhat too, but it's going to go first. Second.
Okay.
And so, detail things inside. You can the speed, but you want to what you do. Speed is at 10. And some settings for like a Zing. There's settings. A Cameo, the speed's a little bit slower, but you can change these settings, right? Pressure. I'm telling you that we're doing outlines. Cut frame, what it's going to do is cut this round. So you may or may not want to cut the frame. So, but it's kind of the basics, and it does depend on what you have. You know, there's a silhouette portrait as well, which, you know, is a little less expensive than either one of these. Of the E-Craft cutter, although it's got some neat things, it seems to be a little bit harder to work. If you want to know, because I'll be sending you a whole bunch of stuff I want you to cut for me. And
those are real expensive, aren't they?
Yes, they are, and they're bigger too. But you could. There's logic to how you send things out to cut, and even like your crystals. The crystal stuff is a little more durable than or vinyl is, right? And it's this backing that sticks it to your mat, so that you don't have to be quite as careful on it. It'll just take you longer to cut. Cutting fabric or anything that you have stuck to the mat is different, and you will want to go out and get masking tape, because masking tape and sticky spray. But the stick on the mat, I am using the masking tape down the edges where it goes underneath the rollers, just so it doesn't get caught. Inside sometimes, depending on what I'm doing, right? I want to make sure that stays in place as it's cut and wheel under the rollers. Yeah. I generally tape it to my mat.
That's like a good idea.
Mm-hmm. And the mats are sticky for so long, and you're buying the spray or you're buying a new mat, and if you use the most perfect settings, you are still going to score your mat with that blade.
Right.
A little more sense to you?
Yeah, I cut out one thing.
Once you get started, like at first I was a little intimidated by it, and I thought I would just dive in. So I did this giant dragon for my marching band flag, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have a big Z cutting mat, which is 14 by 24. So I split the dragon in half, and he took the whole 24 inches and the whole 14 across. So a very good learning experience, because you have to align that just right, or you get this really hideous sound that goes, and, there was no wiggle room. So it was like, note to self, leave wiggle room,
Yeah.
The dragon got really nice, and I used lame type fabric, right? And I appliqued backing on it. Now, the cutting of the appliqued backing was a little bit different, but after several attempts to cut out the Knowles Marching Band letters and the dragon, like, oh, I get it, and I was good, and I was able to cut difficult fabric with very problems. But at first, it was fabric. I forgot to put that. When you cut things, you have to kind of reverse the letters sometimes, so that you have them out the right way. And I moved on to vinyl, and actually made for a friend of mine Harrow cabinets, Being Dead fan, and took her and watched all 3 seasons on their husband. I took vinyl under a Walking Dead sweatshirt out of like, oh wow, this is really, this is easy. Once you survive the first experience with your cutter, after that, it's easy. It just, it really is an easy thing to do. You can cardstock, you can cut vinyl, you can cut, on vinyl, you can cut your rhinestone templates, you can glass, you can cut stencils, you can cut plastic, you can score plastic and make plastic boxes. And, you know, you have all kinds of things you can do. You can cut chipboard, you can cut, you know, cardboard. It really becomes, you know, besides just fabric and sequins, you have a scrapbook machine. And, you know, and a stencil. You make your own stencil. And so an interesting little toy.
Yes. Connor Tanner.
Uh-huh.
And I saw him in
Mhm.
it has the alphabet inside the triangle.
Okay.
So you inside the triangle.
Mhm.
With the alphabet in it, and I just manually cut the back triangle to fit front.
Oh, okay.
Did a little bit of and put it on a piece and turned
Mhm.
out good.
Kind of fun. Like, you know, I found that once you get going, you can become as compulsive obsessive of doing stuff as you can embroidery. I'll put it this way: I have these little. I discovered paper, you know, and like one more thing, right? Like thread and fabric, and now I got paper, and you know, cardstock and glitter, and you know, stencil material and stamp material, and I have all boys, so I joked that they were all getting pink glittery polka dot cards for birthdays this year.
Now, have you tried tattoos?
I did, actually. The tattoos are kind of interesting. And you get the tattoo paper, right? And you ink. I actually bought the pens and what else do I have? You know, it was like, you know, all those. It's as bad as sewing. All those little things add up, right?
Right.
Like I said, I have the embossing blade. I haven't used that one yet, but we have the pens and the glitter pens.
Usual ink for the tattoos.
Tattoos you do in reverse, and what happens is they're actually like water slide. Remember those water slide decals?
Mhm.
They're very similar to the water slide decals. And clean your skin with alcohol, and you know that tattoo on. But it really is. It's not like you're inking, you know, like those temporary tats. It's not really like that. You're really putting like a water slide. Well, those are kind of the same too, I guess. You put a water slide decal on.
Okay.
And the difference is that, you know, you can cut out, like if you're making anchor, you can actually cut out around the anchor a little bit easier. And you cut out like the holes, which makes it a little more flexible.
Uh-huh.
And then you could get eyelash glue, or you know, some like skin glue type of thing, and put rhinestones on too.
Okay.
Question about the program.
Uh-huh.
The crystals, and you know, I know it has the features for, you know, cutting the crystals. Does it also, if you were embroidering, would it also just stitch on like a little hole in an embroidery design, so you could just kind of use those hot glue things and stick it on? No? Okay.
No, but what it does is, let me go find the one of our ugly duckling. I did with crystals. I'll show you. Now. Oh, no, they're there. Okay. There. I'm trying to find those crystals. I guess that's her. Okay, so an embroidery design, right? And it goes to her. Now,
Right.
it won't any marks here. But what it does do
Okay.
is I can say, let's effort to Kristen Cutters, and I can print,
Okay.
the diagram, lay the crystal out, and then them right layout and size, were intended and what color too. Okay, so the way to do it, and if print on the template, right? Me, my design, right? It's not going to show me the crystals when I'm printing embroidery template.
Okay.
But you use the two together, and my layout's kind of odd here, but you the two together, those two sheets. I think I entered, which is why it's so odd. Or landscape, okay. What happened anyway? So you could, basically use this and align that layout, but you can lay the crystals on there, and then just tape basically to catch them, or you just use it as a guide.
Okay.
So, and it tells you how many crystals and what size and what color too.
Yeah.
So, but makes a little difference. I mean, it was funny because I'm not a real crystal-y kind of girl, right? It makes a world of difference in mine. Here's her without crystals and
really
with crystals.
That's really cute.
So the crystals are on top of the embroidery then?
Yeah, I do the embroidery first and then crystal her up. And, it's funny what a difference it does make,
But it's just like you were adding it.
These crystal lines, anywhere that I can put lines, I'll do, and then these are in.
Put them on there just like you doing the other thing, If I went out to object properties and
select crystal, and usually I make like one crystal and then get out of the tool, because I can select that crystal. Hey, really, I think I want it to be like a pretty blue. And oh, by the way, I don't have any more of those crystals, so I'm going to make it a 10. Because sometimes, these are really teeny tiny crystals. They make them that small, but they're very small crystals. Your average size is a 10. So, then I can just drag it to where I want it to go.
Right. And that's really good look on how it's going to look and how many you're going to need before you stitch it out.
Like this does not look like a whole crystals, but really it is when you come down to it. It is. Okay, there's right. When I go in, it says 35 of the hyacinths, 56 of the citrines, which are the right, and 47 of the blue size. These are 6s, 6s, and 8s. So
yeah, they're small.
It's like, so give me, at least a rundown of what size they should be. And then I can decide whether or not I think that I want to spend that much time on it. Crystals on something, right?
Yeah, it really did make a difference. It really did make a difference when just really without the crystals.
Because and when she's in the Drawing Snap program, she's one of the trainers over there for them. And then I was playing with the crystal program when I first got it, and I thought, oh, geez, what a difference And I sent them a note and said, hey, why not put the crystal option in there? You know, airdrop it
Yeah.
to the, to the cutter, right? And because you can airdrop, and use that air stash to get it to the machine, right? Yeah, but they can't do the crystals, I guess, or they can't do the crystals yet, maybe. And
Yeah.
but I said, wow, what a difference! Like she just came to life with the crystals.
She did. She really did.
And I think I did one
did.
more with crystals too. And it does. It just makes a huge difference. More with crystals. It wouldn't let me out. This one. With crystals. Is this with it? It would still look kind of cute.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's what the
The crystals make it pop.
Mhm.
There's a pillow. You wouldn't have crystals on it.
Be one of those
Just
pillows
like-
that you kind of could look at but not touch,
Not touch. Yeah.
And or you could make it use it for like the centerpiece of a table decoration, or
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I just thought, wow, what a world of difference the crystals made it. The embroidery would still be nice, but the crystals just because they glow a little bit,
They catch the light.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I could kind of I threw a couple more crystals up here. Otherwise I'm looking at all the jump stitches I have to trim, because I'm in a lot of jump stitches on this. I thought, well, no jumps, woo, And I could some use crystal studs on me, or not crystal studs, but nail heads as well.
Yeah.
And we just have to look at the size of the nail head and try to match it up with a rhinestone. And they don't fall into the templates quite as easily. But, nail heads are an option as well. So, ladies, well.
Okay. We'll see you in 2 weeks for artistic again.